Michael, we'll start, shall we, with injury news? Just wonder if you could give us an update on the squad.
Yeah, we probably only missing John Walters, I think. He's just got a little bit of inflammation on his knee, so don't think he's going to be available. Make a decision on Mark Muniesa. He's trained a couple of days. Hopefully he doesn't get a reaction to that. Hopefully it'll be an option, but it may be that we give him a little bit more training before he becomes involved again. But apart from that, it's everyone from the other nights, apart from John, really came through it.
Now, we understand, obviously, it's transfer window time. We'll start there, shall we? We understand that West Ham continue to express interest in one of your players, Glenn Johnson. Is there a scenario with which he leaves?
They may be expressing interest to other parties. I don't think they are to us. So, no, we're a situation where Glenn's in the team. He's playing well. He's part of what we're trying to do now and in the future as well. So it's the crazy month. So there's always going to be these rumours, and West Ham seem to have a lot of these stories flying around them at the moment. And I think it's one of those. From their point of view, maybe, and maybe people who are connected to West Ham, albeit fans or bloggers or whoever it is, they might see it as a good option, and why wouldn't he be? But it's not our intention to let Glenn go now or in the future.
From your point of view, is it made any more difficult a situation by his contract?
No, the contract situation is what it is, and we've got an option to extend anyway, so we're quite comfortable with the situation. He's only just shortly back from quite a long-term injury, so he's only had 4 or 5 games since that injury, I think. I'm right in saying so, which is just a case of making sure he's fit and sound, which he's certainly proving that at the moment. So don't see why we wouldn't look to further engage him, but I think we've just been mindful that he's come back from a long injury. We're just making sure that he's fitting well, which he looks like he certainly is.
Another player of similar experience, similarly in the team at the moment, Peter Crouch. Similarly, his contract expires at the end of the season. Have you opened talks about a new deal?
Yeah, I think that's a conversation we've had. Peter's come back into the side to good effect, great effect in fact. So we're pleased with that. He'd been a little bit frustrated, so I think he felt maybe the option of staying here wasn't going to be open to him. But like I said, he's got back in the team now, doing well, and I've said many times before, it's not a case of Peter's qualities and attributes waning to any great extent. I haven't seen any difference between him now than when I walked through the door, and I've said that many occasions, so I don't anticipate that those qualities will change anytime soon either. So what Peter gives us and what other teams would see that he would give them is a different option and a different type of problem for opposition teams. So from our point of view, why would we allow him to go somewhere else and be a good option for somebody else?
What about Bojan? We understand he's attracting a bit of interest, certainly from La Liga. Is his future still here? Could he leave in January?
Yeah, from my point of view, yes, absolutely. He's a little bit frustrated because he hasn't had as many starts as he feel he needs. But I've said to his advisors, and we had a long conversation about it, because obviously they wanted to know the situation, and it's quite clear from my point of view we've lost three attack-minded players to the African Cup of Nations, so there's going to be more opportunities for Bojan from this point onwards, and then it's up to him to take those opportunities. But he's still a big part of my thinking in terms of what we're trying to do here. All he wants is more game time, which all players want to play week in, week out. Sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes you can't get all the good players that you have in the team because the balance would be wrong. So it's about him being a little bit more patient, I would suggest, but he's likely to get more game time in the next few weeks, I'm sure.
And what's the likelihood of you bringing any players in to Stoke?
Well, we're active in the market as we speak, and there's no point in me telling you the ones that we've missed out on, because that serves no purpose whatsoever. But we're we're obviously trying to get good players here if we can, but nothing is likely to be done in the near future. But we're hopeful that as the window progresses, we might be able to get good players that will help us.
Any particular positions that you might be looking to strengthen?
Well, we'll look at all positions. It's whether or not the players available, the right quality and the right standard, and address maybe an issue that we feel we've got in terms of the first 11 predominantly, because we don't need numbers really. When everybody's fitting well, then we've got good numbers, good quality. We just need players that might be able to make a difference.
Anything in reports that you might go back to one of your old clubs for Ruben Loftus-Cheek? He's been linked to that.
There's lots of names being banding around. I think people are assuming that at the big clubs there'll be a number of young players, good young players that are there and on their payroll. Chelsea got something like 30 odd players out on loan, so it's not beyond the realms of imagination that a number might be available. So we're not saying yes or no to that one, but I think there's good players available, but being able to bring them to your club and getting these deals over the line, albeit if they're permanent deals or loan deals, they're equally as difficult. So we'll just keep our ear to the ground and see what's doable, really.
Well, that's it from me on transfers.
Good.
Here, I'm sure. FA Cup, where does it sit in your list of priorities this year?
It's the next game. It's got our total focus, and I like to think in my time here we've given all the competitions their rightful respect that they deserved, and we'll do exactly the same tomorrow. We'll be going with a very strong team, a team that I think will win the tie, because that's the challenge that's ahead of us. We're at home against a team at a lower level, so the onus is on us to get the job done and make sure there's no shocks. We don't want to be making headlines on Sunday, Monday morning in papers for the wrong reasons. We want to be comfortably in the hat for the next round if we can.
Does that mean you're going to name a strong side?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, we've got a strong bench at the moment, so those players come into my thinking. We just come through a strong period up against high quality teams, and that takes a little bit out of you, clearly, physically and mentally, the strain of those games. So I'll make maybe one or two changes, but not wholesale changes. We want to make sure we get through the tie first and foremost. And throughout my managerial career, I've always tended to go strong initially, and then hopefully get in a winning position. Then, if I feel it's appropriate, then I can make changes. But first and foremost, it's about getting through the tie.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is your first win in 6 games. How much of a lift has that given the club?
Well, yeah, we just come through a period where it was difficult fixtures to go into, and we did well in terms of performance, in my view. But in some of the games that we're up against the quality opposition, they took the game away from us, unfortunately. But I think if you look at our record in the Premier League, I looked at it the other day, and actually we've lost 8 games. I think there's only 7 clubs that have lost fewer than ourselves. So that would tell you that actually we're not doing as bad as maybe people are trying to make out. Of those 8 losses, I think 7 of them have come from the teams in the top 8. So you can see that the quality of the top end of the table is really strong this year, maybe more so than it was last year. So although we're in a decent enough position, I think the defeats that we had, to a certain extent, ones that maybe people would expect, but been very few where we've gone under against teams in around us or below us. So 8 defeats is probably, given the strength of the top half of the table, the top 6, 7. It's probably not a bad return, given that there's a lot of other clubs have lost more games than we have.
So there's no extra smiles around the place this week because there was no fear of what was going on?
Oh no, I mean these runs start and finish when obviously the quality you're up against changes sometimes, and we had 3 really difficult away games, so interspersed with that we didn't win our home games. We didn't get beaten, but we didn't win them. So very quickly people can say, well, you've gone 5 games, 6 games without a win. hey ho, it is what it is. Similar situation at the beginning of the season. So it's more about the opposition rather than the number of games without a win. And we base the targets and what we try and do throughout the season on the opposition and the likelihood of where we can win and where we're likely to pick up points. So that never changes. So even though we hadn't, as you rightly pointed out, we hadn't won for a few games, we knew there was no panic because we had games coming up that we could do well in.
Facing Wolves, a team from the Championship, what are your thoughts on them?
Well, they're a club of stature. They're going to be bringing a big following, and I think that's great. It's a great date in the fixture calendar. The third round of the FA Cup, and there's a different atmosphere around the games. Obviously, with their following, they're only 30, 40 minutes down the road, so that will create the atmosphere that everybody wants for cup ties. So we'll look forward to it. They're a decent team. They've had a little bit of change during the season, new manager. And the mid-table probably feel that they may well be their priority is league position. I think I'm right in saying their manager is talking about maybe making changes to look after players that have played in the majority of the games. So you can understand that from their point of view. But I'm sure they'll give it a go. They've got nothing to lose. Why wouldn't they come here and have a real go and try and win the tie? And we've got to be ready for that because I think we had experience last year, the year before, when Wrexham came here, brought a big following and gave us a fright for 60, 70 odd minutes. So we've got the scars of that to a certain extent. So hopefully we'll get the job done earlier than we're able to against them.
This club went all the way back in 2011, so it's a few years ago now. Could you, I mean, I know it's only the first game, but would you get there this season?
Yeah, there's no reason why we can't. We've got enough talent in the group to be able to do that. You have to be lucky with the draws. You don't particularly want to be playing top six sides at any stage until you get to maybe the final, which I think was the case last time. So you've got to have a little bit of luck with the draw, but even so, even if you play in Premier League clubs or clubs at a lower level, they bring their own problems and ones that you need to solve very, very quickly, or you can be part of FA Cup history if you're not careful for the wrong reasons. So the Cup, both Cups, the League Cup and the FA Cup, have always figured highly in our ambitions when we start the season, and that's no different this year. We're looking to progress. We want a cup run. I think it's good for everybody, and I've said time and time again, I think decent cup runs help your form and your confidence for league games as well. So it's good from all aspects in terms of having the run itself and the energy and excitement that generates for fans and players and the fact that it can improve your form as well.
I'm not sure I don't think we've spoken to you since you've signed Lee Grant officially from Derby. How good is it to get that over the line?
Yeah, I'm delighted with that because it was dragging on somewhat, and initially we were miles apart in terms of what we were prepared to play and what Derby wanted. But I think all parties have come to the right decision for everybody, not least Lee himself, because he was desperate to get it done. He's come in and had a big effect on the way we've played, and pleased for him because he deserves it. It was a situation that could have gone in a different direction for him, but he was brave enough to come here and have a go and put his qualities and his ability on the line and wait for an opportunity. It came for him, and no one can say he hasn't taken it. So pleased for him. I think he's delighted it's now all concluded because he was dragging on, as I said, but he was a happy guy. So I welcomed him to Stoke today for the first time.
And the African Cup of Nations, you're losing 3. How big an impact could that have on the
Well, only time will tell. It's a little bit of frustration, really. It seems to be some players are being allowed to drop out. We didn't have that option. We had a little bit of a respite when we were allowed to play Mamdiouf against Watford, but after that, then there's very clear from all the associations we were dealing with that was it in terms of being allowed to have the players any longer. That doesn't seem to be the case with everybody, so I think that's a little bit unfair. I think that shouldn't be the case. It should be that all players picked in squad should be made to go. If they're not, then clearly maybe FIFA should have brought in sanctions on the ones that are allowed to stay behind, because it's a little bit unfair on the ones that have to allow their players to go.
Finally for me, I asked you about Abdullah just before he came back. Now he's back. Could he get his first start in the FA Cup?
Yeah, he's one of those that I'm looking to try and get 90 minutes into. I mentioned that. That's the reason he didn't start the game in midweek. So 3 games in a week was too much. So we want to get good minutes into him. It might be 90 minutes, it might be 75, it might be 60, whatever. Let's hope he gets good minutes under his belt. He's looking strong. He's enjoying his football. Looks very sharp in training and came on to good effect the other night as well. So he's getting back to something like the levels that he was showing before the injury, which were very high, I have to say. So we're delighted with how well he's come back.
Mark,
Sorry.
this game against Watford turned out to be quite a bruising game. Were you expecting that from them?
I'm not sure about it. They were a little bit direct. We were expecting that in their game plan, and we had to stand up to that. But for the most part, we didn't concede too many clear-cut chances, I didn't think. And once we'd scored, clearly scored at good times, which we'd been damaged by in previous games by conceding at similar times, then once we got our noses in front, we felt that the game was one that we could see out comfortably, which was how it was borne out. We didn't pick up any significant injuries, touch wood, and on that basis we've certainly been involved with in more physical games, I would suggest.
I was wondering that because a lot of supporters were sort of surprised he didn't play players like Mbula, Shaqiri and Bojan, who were on the bench. Did you leave them out for that particular reason?
Well, we knew they were a more direct team, and given that's what our expectation was. It's very difficult sometimes at times you've got to match that for a period to allow yourself to play the game that you want to play. So we knew it was a game, wasn't one that I felt was suited to the likes of certainly Bojan, G to a certain extent, because he wants to get on the ball, he wants to build it up through the lines, and certainly felt that maybe it wasn't going to be. We weren't going to be allowed to do that to any great degree. So at the end of the day, it's all about picking the side that will enable you to win games, and at the end of the day, that's what I did.
Were you sort of like conscious that, I mean, there was a lot of supporters who felt that kind of let down that you're not playing these, and do you feel you sort of like...
I don't think so. Listen, we've got good players, but actually, if I played all my technically gifted players all at the same time, it wouldn't mean we were a great team. You need other qualities and other strengths to get the balance right. So there's only so many of the technically gifted players that you can get into a team at any one side. Okay, no problem. No problem.